The P-51 Mustang destroyed over 4,000 enemy aircraft and significantly altered the outcome of battles, such as the one over Germany in 1944. But it wasn't always the fastest or the biggest. So what made this fighter the Luftwaffe's worst nightmare? Let's find out. In the early days of World War II, Germany's Luftwaffe was a dominant force. They controlled the skies over Europe, and the Allies needed something drastic to level the playing field. The answer? The P-51 Mustang. But this wasn't just an ordinary fighter. It was the result of desperation and a race against time. When the British Royal Air Force found itself struggling to defend Britain from relentless Luftwaffe attacks, it approached North American aviation with a bold request. They needed more fighters. But what they got wasn't just more of the same. It was a game changer. In just 117 days, the engineers at North American Aviation designed and built a prototype for what would become one of the most famous planes of the war. The result was the P-51 Mustang, a fighter aircraft that would soon become known for its speed, agility, and lethal firepower. But what made it truly terrifying was its ability to escort bombers deep into enemy territory, a task no other fighter could handle at the time. Initially, the P-51 Mustang was far from perfect. The early versions of the Mustang didn't perform well at high altitudes, which was a problem because most of the combat took place at higher elevations. This flaw was quickly addressed when the British decided to fit the Mustang with the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine, which had already proven itself in the Supermarine Spitfire. The new engine gave the Mustang impressive speed and superior high-altitude performance, instantly making it a far better competitor against the Luftwaffe's best fighters. Now, the Mustang wasn't just another fighter. It was a flying machine capable of outmaneuvering almost anything the Germans threw at it. But it wasn't just the speed that made the Mustang a nightmare for German pilots. It was the firepower. The P-51 Mustang was armed with 6 50 caliber machine guns mounted in its wings. This firepower made it a deadly adversary in any dogfight. When it came to engaging enemy aircraft, the Mustang was a force to be reckoned with. But the Mustang wasn't just about raw power. It was also about precision and coordination. The aircraft was fast enough to close the gap with enemy fighters quickly, giving its pilots the upper hand in combat. Whether it was performing hit-and-run tactics or diving into a high-speed attack, the P-51 Mustang made short work of enemy fighters. German pilots who had been used to dominating the skies found themselves under attack by a fighter that could outrun them, outmaneuver them, and outshoot them. The fact that the Mustang could escort bombers deep into enemy territory and provide protection all the way back to England was a game changer. And it wasn't just about protecting bombers, it was about hunting down German aircraft, forcing the Luftwaffe to think twice before engaging in combat. The real turning point for the Mustang came when it was fitted with external fuel tanks, significantly increasing its range. This modification allowed it to escort bombers on their most dangerous missions deep into enemy territory, something that was impossible for other Allied fighters like the P-38 Lightning and P-47 Thunderbolt. These fighters could only provide limited protection before turning back due to their fuel limitations, leaving the bombers vulnerable during the most dangerous part of the mission, the return journey. With the Mustang's extended range, bombers now had a fighting chance to complete their missions and make it home safely. This was a critical turning point in the air war over Europe. The Mustang could stay with the bombers from takeoff to landing, scouring the skies for enemy interceptors and destroying them before they could even get close to the bombers. The sheer fear that the Mustang instilled in German pilots cannot be understated. The Luftwaffe was now fighting against a plane that could keep up with them, engage them on their terms, and, more often than not, destroy them before they even had a chance to react. The Mustang wasn't just an escort fighter, it was a dogfighter, and it excelled in combat with enemy fighters. German pilots had a reputation for being some of the best in the world, but when they faced the P-51 Mustang, they quickly realized they were up against something new. The Mustang's speed, maneuverability, and firepower made it a force that even the best German pilots struggled to defeat. Pilots who had once dominated the skies now found themselves being hunted by a superior adversary. The P-51 Mustang's 650 caliber machine guns could tear through the wings and fuselage of enemy aircraft with ease, and its pilots quickly became experts at using the Mustang's superior speed to outmaneuver their German counterparts. One famous example of the Mustang's superiority came when the Messerschmitt Bf 109, which had once been a feared adversary, was forced to withdraw from combat after suffering massive losses against the Mustang. The Bf 109 had once been the standard German fighter, but it was no match for the speed and agility of the Mustang. While the P-51 Mustang is most famous for its role as a fighter escort, it also proved itself to be highly effective in ground attack missions. The Mustang was capable of carrying bombs or rockets, up to 10 rockets or 2 500-pound bombs. These weapons made it deadly against enemy infrastructure, vehicles, and convoys. By attacking enemy supply lines, the Mustang pilots helped to disrupt German operations and make it harder for the Luftwaffe to mount an effective defense. The Mustang's versatility on the battlefield made it not just an air superiority fighter, but also a weapon of war that could strike at the heart of the enemy's war machine. After dominating the skies over Europe, the P-51 Mustang was deployed to the Pacific Theater, where it faced the Mitsubishi A6M0, a Japanese fighter that had been the terror of the Pacific since the early days of the war. The Zero was highly maneuverable and a formidable opponent in the skies. But by the time the Mustang arrived in the Pacific, the Zero was already outdated. Despite the Zero's reputation, the Mustang quickly proved itself to be the superior aircraft. In terms of speed, agility, and firepower, the P-51 had the edge. It was faster than the Zero, could outclimb it, and had far more hitting power. While the Zero was good in close-quarters dogfighting, the Mustang's superior firepower and longer range meant that it could easily engage the Japanese aircraft from a distance before they had a chance to close the gap. By this time, the Zero had already suffered losses due to fuel shortages and worn-out pilots. The P-51 Mustang, on the other hand, was a fresh, powerful addition to the Allied forces in the Pacific. It was a game-changer and significantly contributed to the Allied victory in the Pacific, just as it had done in Europe. By late 1944, the Germans were facing defeat. However, they weren't giving up easily. The Messerschmitt Me-262, the first jet-powered fighter in history, was introduced to the skies. The Me-262 was faster, more heavily armed, and more advanced than anything the Allies had at the time. It posed a significant threat to the P-51 Mustang. The Mustang pilots, who had once been the hunters, now found themselves up against a new predator in the skies. The Me-262 was faster than the P-51 and could outmaneuver it at high speeds. For a brief period, it looked like the Mustang's reign might be over. But the Mustang had one advantage: its ability to destroy targets on the ground. The Mustang pilots quickly adapted to the situation, utilizing their superior tactics and speed to focus on taking out the Me-262 on the ground before the jet could even take off. The Me-262 was a strong opponent, but it arrived too late in the war to make a real impact. By the time it became a significant threat, the Luftwaffe had already been crippled by losses, and the Allies were well on their way to victory. The P-51 Mustang played a crucial role in ensuring Allied victory during World War II. It was the key to gaining air superiority over the Luftwaffe, and it became the guardian angel for Allied bombers. Without the Mustang, the bombers would have been vulnerable, and the war would have been much harder to win. The Mustang's legacy lives on to this day, not only as a legendary aircraft, but also as a reminder of the dark reality of war. The pilots who flew the Mustang faced death at every turn, but they were determined to protect their comrades and bring the war to a victorious conclusion.